Bobby Marks, ladies and gentlemen of ESPN. Bobby, thank you for giving us some time, man. We're 6 days from the deadline. You must be just working like an animal right now. Are you getting any sleep at this time?
You know what? I was in Publix, which was the big shopping, food store down here in Florida, and I was like in like the crumb cake aisle when like all of a sudden all hell broke loose because it had been pretty quiet up until that point here. So, yeah, I guess what we thought was going to be a relatively quiet deadline, which is next Thursday, has certainly shaken up some things with this Kyrie Irving news.
You were shopping for grocery essentials when you got hit with the Kyrie Irving news.
It's amazing. I was thinking, like, do I leave the cart in the aisle and just walk out the store, or do I just pay for it, and do I have enough time to get home in time?
It's incredible. Have you had that sandwich, by the way?
The chicken tender sandwich.
Yeah,
I hear it's incredible.
that thing's legendary.
Bobby, can you confirm?
I have not. No, I have not.
Okay. It comes highly recommended. Next time Bobby Marks finds himself at Publix, he needs to try the chicken tender sando sub sandwich from Publix. We don't have it here in Texas, but apparently it's to die for.
I will do that. I will definitely do that.
All right, Bobby, thank you so much again for giving us some time. I'm still batting 1,000 now with the guest booking, so I'm feeling really good about this.
You saved his rear end, Bobby. You have no idea.
Well, I saw you guys calling in. I was doing a podcast with Zach Lowe.
Hey, it's all good.
An emergency pod, and I saw you call. I was like, I can't answer this call coming in. I know I'm supposed to be on radio. I just can't answer it, and I'm glad it worked out here.
No, we're thrilled to have you, but we got to ask you. Obviously, Kyrie and the Mavs. It seems like that's being linked. The Mavs and the Lakers, the two teams. How likely do you think the Mavs are to be involved with this thing? Seriously.
Well, I mean, I think it's I think if Dallas is, I don't think a guy like certainly Spencer Dinwiddie would be involved. But when you look at what the Mavericks have under contract, outside of Luka and Spencer, is they've got a lot of what we call those sweet spot contracts, right? Guys that make in between $10 and $20 million here. So I think for Dallas's perspective, it's, hey, we know he's going to be a free agent. What do you view him as, right? Do you view him as a rental for the next 4 months? Are you comfortable signing him to a 2 or 3 year contract, for as a free agent here? What number is that? Are you willing to give up draft compensation here? They still owe New York that first, in June. And then from Brooklyn's perspective, are you willing to take back, Tim Hardaway Jr. contract that has money on it? Is there anyone else appealing here? So I think they're linked, just based on what they have potentially to offer. I think it's a matter of, how much Dallas is willing to kind of go in, because, it's a unique situation. I mean, he's having an all-star year. He's been healthy when he's been on the court. I mean, that's kind of been the big thing. But as you guys know, I mean, there's a lot that comes with it, right? Like as I said, he's the perfect 1-year max player. He's a perfect 1-year player for your organization here. And the risk comes with what you have to give up, and then what, and what you are comfortable as far as long-term, because there's a track record, right? I mean, you go through his history. The last 4 years in Brooklyn, there's been something every season. I thought we were, somewhat in the clear after everything that happened in November, because how he's been playing, and then all of a sudden this pops. So I just think, as far as, that Dallas front office has to be comfortable as far as exploring, as far as what the cost is going to be, and what the kind of the future will hold.
Bobby, my experience is working in the National Football League in front offices, and when you make these kinds of trades, do you go into with your eyes open? It's like, hey, I'm only going to do this if I can get an extension, or talk about an extension. Does it work a lot differently in front offices in basketball?
Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, I think that certainly drives the price as far as what you're willing to give up. I mean, Irving's he's in a unique situation because of how the extension rules are in the NBA. If Dallas or another team would acquire him, he can sign, it's like a 2-year, like $77 million extension. That's the maximum, right? If you play out the year, then, they can sign him up to 5 years as a free agent here. So, after 2 years, $76 million, that's fine with me, right? I mean, yeah. I would maybe do that for the next couple of years, because it's a short-term deal. And he has shown to be healthy here. So yeah, I mean, everything kind of comes into play. as far as, I think it'll be interesting if Irving gives the Nets a list of teams, and if Brooklyn allows him permission to talk with those teams. I think we don't see that much in the NBA. I mean, I dealt with it when I was in the Nets front office with Carmelo Anthony back in 2011. You don't see that much, and I think that might help a little bit based on just kind of getting an understanding of what he's looking for in the off season, where his head is, and that may make a deal a little bit easier.
Okay, so you were obviously an assistant general manager in your time. You're working NBA front office insider for ESPN right now. You're Nico Harrison. Are you pulling the trigger on a move like this for Kyrie?
I would probably do it if it, I would do it for. I probably wouldn't put a pick in there, but Hardaway Jr., Christian Wood. If you're not comfortable signing Christian Wood long term at his number, something like that. I'm not putting any of the younger players, whether it be Hardy or Green. I'm not doing Dinwiddie. I'm not doing Finney-Smith. So I think there's an offer out there, but I just don't know if that will be appealing to Brooklyn.
Bobby Marks with the show on 105.3 The Fan. I think that's the biggest question for Mavs fans. What do they have that is appealing via trade to other teams? Outside of Kyrie, is there any other trade that maybe you're hearing or that you think that the Mavericks could possibly make to try and get more help for Luka?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, Bojan Bogdanovic's been linked to a lot of different teams. I just think it's going to cost you probably an unprotected first, and that's probably going to be, 2 years after this Knicks pick is conveyed, and that's rich. I mean, he's under contract after this year for 2 more years. He can certainly help them. That's probably kind of, as I said, that's a little bit high as far as for him. But you're right. I mean, they've got a nice group of rotational players, right? Like there's not Porzingis last year was different because I guess you can call him as a blue chip prospect based on his upside if healthy. I liked what they did, and you split that up into a bunch of different players here, but an expiring, Dwight Powell, guys like that, Hardaway, as I said, got years left. Dinwiddie's having a really good year and he's under contract another year, and your draft assets are limited here. So, and it's hard because it's, this is not a buyer's market, right? It's basically like, you're going shopping and you want to go buy eggs, and, usually you get them for $2. Now they're on the market for $15, right? Mm-hmm. So do you want to pay $15 for a carton of eggs? Like, that's the hard thing, because there's just not many sellers out there, teams that are looking to, and if there are, they're basically kind of driving the price up.
Bobby, when you were making those calls and working your phones for the trades and stuff like that, if you had a guy that's a first-time general manager, how do you deal with first-time general managers with Nico and that? I mean, are you taking these calls because his team, the guys? I mean, you're looking at all his information. Your scouts are giving you reports and all that stuff. How do you deal with a first-time general manager?
Oh, I mean, I think you're taking calls on all, from all, whatever 29 other teams here. I mean, we dealt with it, and it was interesting. We during Carmelo, there was a new GM in Denver, and his name was Masai Ujiri, right? First time at it. And, man, he was tough as nails. I mean, he was so tough during it here. So I don't think it matters if you've been in the league a year, 2 years, 20 years here. I think if you've got some substance to you, and I know Nico does, I think there's kind of a principle as far as kind of what you're willing to do as far as, in a deal here, and what you're willing to kind of do long term here. And, yeah, I mean, you've got Luka under contract for the next 4 years here, but I do think there's a little bit of a certainly sense of urgency. But is this the guy that you're willing to kind of give up a lot for, or is there another guy that's going to come about this summer? And that's the hard thing to try to kind of sift through.
Bobby, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. I know it's been a hectic day for you today, but hopefully we can visit with you again down the line. Love your insight.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.